Hello, my fellow Americans and other people that live in other countries. My name is Sam. A few years ago, I decided I no longer wanted to spend money on rent. So I did what most people would do, and I moved into the back of my pickup truck. My pickup was a 2002 Toyota Tundra. She was a legal immigrant from the nation of Japan. I gave her the traditional Japanese name of Mikasa, and I lived inside of her for 2.5 years. During this time, I decided to document my experience. I uploaded these videos on a video streaming platform known as the YouTubes. In these videos, I covered a wide range of topics. I gave advice on the proper body mechanics to use while urinating into a bottle. I also gave some hot tips on how to seduce and swoon members of the opposite sex. This information sent shockwaves through the female community. It shattered a lot of preconceived notions women had about dating a man who was experiencing homelessness. One of the main reasons I moved into my vehicle was to stack up some cash and eventually use that as a down payment on a house. In October of 2020, I hit my financial goal, and shortly after, I ended my homeless experiment. Since then, I've wanted to give everyone an update, but unfortunately for me, I forgot my YouTube login information. Now that I have access to my account once again, I figured it'd be a great time to fill you in on what I've been doing in life. Following the departure from my pickup truck, I soon after began house hunting, and I quickly realized that I had probably chosen one of the worst possible times in human history to do so. A combination of low interest rates, a global pandemic, and thousands of refugees fleeing the San Francisco Bay Area made purchasing a home in Northern California rather difficult. So instead of buying a home, I initially moved back to Midtown Sacramento. I was living in a quaint little apartment there with a couple of my companions. I lived in Sac for around 1.5 years, but the lifestyle there was just starting to wear on me. On most mornings when I'd head to my local gas station to get my soy latte with 2 pumps of organic stevia, I'd have to evade piles of human feces, urine, and hypodermic needles. Most of my neighbors were very outgoing, especially those who lived in the flower garden in front of my house. They'd greet me most mornings with incoherent rambling. They'd say something along the lines of how they wanted to rape me and eat my children. But the joke's on them though, because I have no children. Between the human excrement, trash, crime, homelessness, and threats of butt rape, I decided it was time to search for greener pastures. I took the lead of many of my millennial friends, and I moved home with my mother, or as I call her, my flatmate. This is the cabin I've been staying in. My mother doesn't physically reside here. She's up this dirt road about another half mile. This was our Airbnb rental, but unfortunately for us, we live in a county full of a whole bunch of busybodies. They didn't want us making any money and threatened to fine us if we kept it on Airbnb. This place has remained vacant for around 1 year until I made my way here. Besides moving home with my mother, there's been a few other life-changing events that have happened to me these past couple of years. At one point, I decided to grow a mustache, and I rocked this bad boy for around 5 months. I also expanded my wardrobe. My tie-dye t-shirt cost me $19.99. I got some new socks as well as underwears. I discovered that my local gas station had one of the best selections of baseball caps. I chose to get one with a Canadian maple leaf on it. It says dope dope, and I don't speak Canadian, but I have to imagine this is some sort of slang that they use up there. One of the biggest shocks to my life came in January. I got the dreaded virus. I'm not sure if you noticed the pin that I wear, but I am a survivor. It was touch and go for a little bit. The first few days I had a pretty bad case of the sniffles. Day 4, I developed a mild headache. When your life flashes before your eyes like this, it makes you reevaluate things. I knew I had to start taking my health a little more serious, and I started with my diet. At the beginning of the year, my diet and physique had taken a turn for the worst. My man breasts were an absolute disaster. They were just very pointy and going off into random directions. I looked into a whole foods type of diet, but this just seemed boring and antiquated. I needed immediate results, so I turned to the carnivore diet. In the month of January, I didn't touch a single carb, and for the most part, this is what I ate. I like to start my morning off with a little bit of black tea. I'll also take a multivitamin as well as ashwagandha. This is basically all natural Valium. I have a horse training buddy who lives up here. He gave me some creamer to add to my black tea. Generally, I add about 2 scoops every morning. It seems to keep me healthy. My first meal of the day consists of 3 slices of bacon alongside 3 eggs. This gives me plenty of protein and fats. It also spikes my T levels. Most evenings I will have a cut of meat from one of the bovine that we euthanized. I do consider our cows to be pets, but when it comes to survival, sometimes sacrifices are needed. I've been attempting to learn to cook on cast iron, and so far the results are less than stellar. Last night's meal was an absolute disaster. I nearly burned the cabin down. Luckily for me, I have years of fire suppression training. Hello, cows. My latest cooking adventure is making jerky, and I like to make my jerky with beef liver. Now, liver is definitely an acquired taste. By itself, it tastes god-awful, but if you can get past that, this is known as a superfood, and it's loaded with tons of vitamins and nutrients. I prepare it by first slicing it very thinly. I'll then put it into a Ziploc bag and marinate it with apple cider vinegar, pepper, soy sauce, and various other spices. Now this really changes the dynamic of the flavor. The end product still tastes terrible, but with a hint of apple cider vinegar and black pepper. I've been drinking kombucha for around 10 years, and when you consume hippie products like this, it really takes a toll on your wallet. A single bottle of kombucha runs upwards of $4, so I decided just to start brewing my own. It's a lot more cost efficient. The process of brewing is very simple. You just need black tea and sugar. This slimy looking thing up top is called a SCOBY. That stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. I've named mine Steven. Now I'll throw Steven inside of here for 2 weeks. That gives him enough time to eat away at the sugars and cause fermentation. I wanted to make my kombucha brewing a professional enterprise, so I went out and had some labels printed. I awoke this morning, came outside, and discovered that the cows had left landmines scattered throughout my front driveway. I think they're trying to send me a message. This is just pure devastation, ladies and gentlemen. One of the biggest disappointments I've faced these last few years has been my inability to hit my goal of doing the splits. I had even purchased this device to help maximize the potential of my perineum. There's no one to blame but myself though. My training was just inconsistent, and if you want a flexible crotch, you need to stay on top of it. When you fall down, you got to pick yourself back up. That's exactly what I plan to do, and I've started a much more regimented schedule. I never expected to live with my mom at the age of 32, but I can't complain because I've had nothing but a joyous time up here with her. There have been some big changes in my life recently, and today I officially closed on a home. Now that I'm a homeowner, I'm sure the whole housing market will come crashing down, but I'm in it for the long haul. I appreciate you watching this exciting video. Hasta luego.